Good evening, guys. Well, it's not good evening, it's actually midday here on Saturday, and what an insane amount the past 2 days here has done to the markets. I think, Thursday we had a lot of scared stuff because of the tariffs, and then Friday we did see more scare, and then the Chinese guys, they did a counter and they put tariffs on the US, and then of course still people being scared, but that's when I think a lot of the leverage in the system got completely wiped out. Again, forced short covering, long covering, leverage, margin calls, all that good stuff definitely happened during this Friday here, in my opinion. And is it enough? We will have to wait and see. But I could also understand that some of the countries, like Argentina and whatnot, they did reach out to Mr. Trump and actually saying that, hey, we want a net zero, tariff between those two countries, and more is joining. So again, let's see what happens with that whole thing. It is wild. We will go through the damage here. We did it on Thursday, and we will do it here again on this Friday, which is Saturday. But we will cover Friday, and there were basically nothing in the green. Nothing in the green. I think there were TLT. Surprisingly, Bitcoin helps. We will look into that a little bit. But gold, platinum, oil, the Nasdaq, everything got totally, wiped out. So let's do it. Let's see what happens here. And we have our silver. Look at that. I want to do the daily stuff here, and then we want to remove a little bit of the short-term stuff, which doesn't matter. A ton of volume coming in. A ton of volume is coming in here. Boom, boom. Looking back 1 year, it's the highest amount of volume. So we went from 35 and now we are at 30. So we dropped, 20%, give or take. And yeah, absolutely crazy. Are we overdone here? Yes. Normally, we were very, very much overdone. Rarely do you get these kind of completely pukes without any buying at all. That goes for all markets now, actually. There was just no one buying. Everyone was scared. And when there is blood in the streets, you should be buying. Again, is this the low? I don't know. However, $30 got hit today here on silver. Actually 29 here on the futures market. Got hit here. We are at a major double bottom. Or like a low here internally as well. 29 has been big. We did, however, lose, the uptrend, which is not ideal, to say the least. And if this continues, if this really goes totally mayhem, again, triangle low, guys, which corresponds to 24.5 on the futures. That might be a tad too low. No, I'm going to do it there anyways. 26.5 is probably better. That one is, I don't think that is part of it. 26.5 is the breakout point, and again, if we get to there, buy all the silver you can, in my opinion. Crazy low prices there, and that's going to be a very good opportunity if we get to there. I do believe as well, again, under normal market conditions, we are going to get a retest right there on silver. Major low here. Can we zoom into the 5 minutes to see if we have some slowing down? Yeah, we do actually have, again, we had this puke here initially, bear flag, and then we had, again, just sliding correction, and now for the first time during that two days, we have a bottoming structure in place. At least momentum is definitely slowing down here. Let's see, again, I'm not going to say anything, because, it's wild at this moment in time here. Gold, it also dropped heavily, a lot of volume at the highs. I think we have seen a cycle high here at roughly, this is futures, so 3,200. I do believe that we've seen a major high at that point in time. You can see here the momentum has been green ever since we started to basically, 1,800, and the big break, of course, was up here, right? That's the big break there. So green momentum. So momentum is still pushing up, but I do believe that we're in for a 3 month here. That is my view here. 3 months of some sort of pullback consolidation, depending on how it does for gold. And short term, we also broke the highs here, getting below 3,600. Excuse me, 3,060 wasn't ideal, so now the path is most likely down to here at roughly 2,960, so getting below 3K again. Again, let's see here. I want to do a worst case kind of scenario, and I want to show you what could happen. Again, we're so far away still, but this is just a thought here. If things are getting really mayhem, that could be the case. Again, if gold does this, it will be the least of your worries, right? Gold will do bad, but I think markets, crypto, yes, of course, will do way worse. It's not, even though it's not nice to see gold come down, how much, right? From the neckline here, we will do the measured move, there 12%, so let's remove that, and we will see that actually we will probably get all the way down to roughly 2,540. Measured move from the topping pattern, potential topping pattern, of course, and triangle low here. In my opinion, if we get down to here, meaning we drop from current levels, we drop 16%. If you want to get some gold, makes a lot of sense, really. Then we have from the highs come down 20%. That is a good bargain, in my opinion. Again, do as you may. Do as you may. Good. Again, I just noted here again, that's too long into the future. We'll not go into that. Palladium, my bad. Platinum, I always mix those two. You can see here the momentum. It's just, for the past 3 years, swifting between red, a little bit blue here, that is in between, and then you have red, green, red, green, red. So you don't have a clear direction, which is of course due to the wedge pattern. So basically we're going sideways. And same thing like everything else, we had a huge drop over the past 2 days. We're down 10%, losing the wedge pattern here. This was actually a really good internal squeeze that we could have gone long in, so you could, again, waiting for the breakout there. But that is clearly not the case. Here as well, we didn't hold, no buying coming in. And let's zoom out here for platinum. We have support here at 900. Horizontally, we have a lot of support there. And trend line here, so 900. If that doesn't hold, oh boy, guys, then we have to look further down, because then we could see roughly, 750, bit lower. And if things goes really mayhem again, we could visit the lower trend line here at 450. If things are really getting out of hand, I'm not going to call that. Just it is a possibility, but will it happen? I don't think so, but it is a possibility. If things are getting really bad, liquidity dries up, no buyers, no nothing. And again, that goes to all markets. It's not only platinum, it's basically every market. Palladium here. Palladium. And I've just switched to the futures markets instead, so they are not entirely up to date. But you do know that this was still our view, and still is, even though the past weekly candle is not good. We most definitely want to hold $900 for palladium. Very important hold here, otherwise we could flush big time here for palladium. So yeah, there's that. On the daily here, again, we did break out everything. In my view here, internal break here, longer term breakout here. Let's go. We broke on the 4th. Nope. It is what it is. But this was technical, fantastic breakout here, and then in 2 days, boom, we basically took all the momentum that was built up and trying to break out here, plunged to the downside. A lot of people have gone long, and then they had to cover back basically. Dixie here has also dropped a ton here. Again, we had this small bear flag, we broke down. What we don't want to see is having the Dixie starting to gain strength. Initially, in 2020, we had the gold to silver ratio spiking, we had rates dropping, and the dollar dropped as well. And then later on, in like a week or two later, the dollar came back and started to do the liquidity squeeze. If that happens again here, it's going to be very bad. because we have the rising gold-silver ratio. We're above 100 now. We went from 92. As been saying, anything above 92, shit is going down. Sorry for my word there. And it did. In 2 days, we went from like 92 to 102. That is a big, massive move there. We saw rates coming down hard, markets coming down hard. If we start to get the dollar to basically do a little bit of, strong moves here, yep, you know exactly what's going to happen there. Bitcoin here, surprisingly, crypto has held really, really well. I will show you another chart, by the way, before we go here. Crypto holding, but again, it needs to hold 81 here, 81K. Otherwise, we start to drop here. Why isn't this doing the blue there? That is weird. Anyway, I'll check that later on. Before we go on with the chart here and the USD WTI, which is getting smoked, look at this one here. Very, very important trend line to hold for the total market cap of crypto. If this gives in, all bets are off for crypto. And that is, of course, bad for tech, liquidity and all that. If that gives in, we are at least, in my opinion, at least over time going down to basically losing 70%, at least. Big one. Good. Oil, look at this again. If I can do it correctly here, sorry guys. Again, the 4-year wedge, fakey breakdown. Again, fake outs, comes and moves to the other direction. Again, perfectly, you see that all the time. Move back, and then of course, boom, tariffs. And that is not good. The long-term 17-year trend line coming over here. Boom, boom, boom. We tagged it. We did a little bit of retrace here. Again, all time frames, depending, but short-term, mid-term, I would even say long-term now, bearish for gold, depending on what you consider long-term. But this here is that scenario which I also discussed with you, but also Andy. We could see that flush before going higher. We're holding now. Could this be the bottom? Sure. I'm not going to do anything here. I want to see this hold, and then for some reason start to do that. Then oil is massively bullish. But initially here now, all momentum is to the downside. And yeah, a lot of liquidity and leverage has already been taken out of the system, and we shall see what happens. We shall see what happens. As you can see here, I mean, oil, when it drops, can really drop, right? What was the measured move of that head and shoulders, by the way? Just for the fun of it, 40%. Okay, cool. Down to here, so the measured move was 23, and we basically flushed negative 40, I think. Again, that will not happen today because we basically shut down the entire world in that period, which is not the case here. But a very bad move here for oil, and we need to hold here. If we don't hold 60, again, triangle low, guys, you can see it there, the triangle low hitting here. If we don't hold here, we will have to wait and see how big the flush will be. It's that simple. The 10-year rates, the 10-year rates, look at that. Rates are coming down. We looked at the topping pattern here, breakout, little bear flag there, push. Again, could we be retesting? Sure. But until this topping pattern is negated, and in my view, we need to get back above the neckline and basically take out the right shoulder and the head and the right shoulder trend line there. Until then, rates are coming down. The measured move for the 10-year, 3.5-ish. Overshooting all that, but that is the measured move, 3.5 for the 10-year. And to me, again, conspiracy or not, but I think it's very strange that it happens now, again, with the amount of debt that the US has to roll over here in Q2 of 2025. I think it's 6 trillion in Q2 that needs to be rolled over. and they would love to have rates coming down very, very low. Refinance, and then basically, because if they were to refinance here at like 4.3, that is way too high. If they can get it down to 3.5, they are saving hundreds of billions of dollars in tax, not tax, but rent, what's it called, rates, payback of the rates. So SPY here, also getting smoked. Breakdown here before it all happened. Check back, and then smoked. A ton of volume coming in here on this candle. Basically the highest amount of volume in the SPY in the past 3 years. 3 years. So, are we overdone here? The markets are difficult, but we have lost the uptrend here. But I do believe, again, everyone is bearish, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. But I do believe we're going to see a pullback here. A little bit of short covering, people trying to buy, the lows and all that. But longer term, again, still in trouble. But short term, I could see a week here where we get like 5% of the SPY maybe. Again, that's it. Don't quote me on that. And it's just, looking at Twitter, everyone is all of a sudden a tariffs, slash margin call, everything expert. The QQQ, oh, okay, cool. I didn't, again, this is the first time I looked ever since we opened on Friday, more or less. Major low here, but all, and therefore, again, I do believe we could be in for a bounce. Ton of volume again in the QQQ. Again, leverage, poof, margin call, they're out. So, could we see a little counter trend here? I think so. But this is also very scary, isn't it? That thing there, potentially. And again, potential future neckline. You can see it there, coming down to there. We measure. We are getting down to here at roughly 335. And again, zooming out here, we're going to zoom way more out. There is a trend line coming up right around here, the upper. And so therefore you can see that 335, overshooting maybe 320 is the move from this whole topping pattern alone. So yeah, but short term I do think that we are in for a bounce here. Unless we're getting more tariffs back and forth, yada yada, then again it's fuel to the fire that is already burning really, really hot. So copper also getting smoked. Again, the targets that were made down here was hit quite nicely. That target, and then boom, basically all the way down. The uptrend here gave it away. And yeah, coming down, down, down. Targets, I will still say a test of that trend line, which is target 1, 2, target 1, breakout on the 4th. So it's close to somewhere 4.2-ish, 4.1 depending. It's a good place if you want to try to buy the low there, or at least look for a bottom on the shorter time frames. Right there. So again, this is just paper copper that is getting wiped out. So coal here is also breaking down below the 100, and this here, 100 roughly was our big zone where, hey, if we ought to see the blue one break, we're actually quite bullish on on coal. And yeah, together with everything else, boom, it got smoked. So let's see how low it can go, really. I'm not going to dive into this. I do believe maybe one trend line could be of, yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, that's one. That's the one, guys, actually. That is the one. We'll make it yellow so we can distinguish. So the target now is roughly 80, give or take, for coal. If it continues, 80. Gas here is doing okay. Yes, it was down 7% this Friday. However, if I were to give the importance of this trend line here, why is it so messed up there? There it is. So there will be a lot of support here. You can see it if I were to give the, like that. So we do have a ton of support here at 3.7, 3.7. But if these two lines here are getting taken out, then everything is confirmed. You top out here, and you take out that trend line there. Then we're going down to 3. Very quickly, by the way. Very, very quickly. We could go from 3.7 to 3. So we're talking 20% wiped out in a week or two, very quickly. Very, very quickly. The TTF here has also confirmed a little bit of a weird topping pattern here. If this holds true, again, I'm not totally in love with the pits here. They're not aligned, but it is what it is. We could see 25. That is the measured move of the TTF, the Dutch gas, so Europe basically. And here we have it. The only thing basically that actually did okay, or did good. Again, 1%, it's not like it's fantastic, but still, we will zoom out just a teeny weeny here. Head and shoulders pattern here. Neckline sits at roughly 98. Measured move from this bad boy here is roughly all the way up here at 124. And again, I'm not saying that this is going to go to all-time highs, because it won't. It will never go to all-time highs again. But we could see, fear, and then therefore having bonds having its final safe haven place, because I think it's going to go down a lot over the next 5 to 10 years. Good. We will quickly look at some ETFs here. Again, liquidation day. Yes, for sure. The SIL, close to breaking out here. Still overall, very strong price, but the last 2 days with the volume and the momentum, it could get a little bit more scary. But we will add this though. We have a trend line coming up from here, like that. So we are close to some support here at roughly 30, 34. But again, if you go down to the 5-minute and so on, you're having a lot of momentum to the downside. So let's see if it holds here. But we are still barely. Again, you can see here, and then we start to making higher highs. This could be a marginal higher high. Again, let's wait and see here. SILJ, also coming down hard. And again, this is the wedge pattern that I'm looking at. So again, could we come down to here? Sure. But then, yeah, let's wait and see. A lot of volume still has come in already. So GDX, gold miners, trying to break out, coming down below again. Not a good sign. Not the best sign here. And we can also take the short-term trend line here to here, so we have support peaking a little bit below. But again, when you have a market that is so erratic, I mean, you overshoot sometimes. But again, let's see what happens. Breakout here, retest of that cup and handle play, and hopefully we find some buyers here. Momentum is still green, so that means that there are still, under normal circumstances, buyers coming in. URA getting smoked again. When do we buy here again? The next one here is the long-term parallel, which we have had on for quite a while. It seems like that is going to come into play. As insane as it sounds, that seems like the case. So we could see here in the future, when we try to hopefully momentum and then bottom out, roughly 19. That is insane. 19 on the URA could be in the cards now due to that candle from last week, which basically was more or less Friday here. Ton of volume, gapping down, closing at the midpoint. Not the most bearish candle, but a little bit bullish. But then, yeah, not really. But yeah, this could be that final flush, because again, this is the first impulse, second, third, and most of the times that is the end of that downtrend. But here you can see we had the little last, what's it called, liquidation of the last remaining bulls. Could be right here, right now, given the events that happened this week here. But definitely extremely hard downtrend here, and volume coming in here on that candle. We shall wait. Same thing here applies for the URA. Again, we bought it here. Still have that position. Again, I still believe that is a great buy here, and longer term, it is what it is. Could it be again here? I want to show you, by the way, a lot of volume coming in here as well compared to the last 20 days. And also, look at the volume here when we tried to bottom out here, which was also a an extra little layer of confirmation that we are at the bottom here, because you're getting, after such a long downtrend, you see a lot of volume coming in while you're at support. Always a good sign. But of course, Thursday, Friday, that smoked it. What else should we look at here? I will, again, Friday, boom, that is liquidation. You can see it here. Nukes, copper, wind, hydro, banks, lithium, rare earth, solar, I can't remember what XPI, that's bio something, XLRE, energy, financials, real estate, oil, everything is red. So I think we will leave that at that, guys, and not do much more. I want to show you, again, this is the important ratio, by the way. This is the important ratio. Look at this. I want to remove all that weird short-term stuff, like we talked about. And again, it is, and was said many times in here. Again, we were so close to breaking down, but we couldn't. And also, as mentioned, if we want to break to the upside on 92, nothing good happens if we spike above 92. All markets will get hit. Again, you can go back and check it. All markets will get hit more or less. The NASDAQ, commodities, oil, energy, weirdly, crypto is not. Anyways. So yeah, when you see these spikes, we saw it here. We have witnessed it here in the past 2 days, 2020. And yes, you know, there's one over here, going back 2008. The .com is somewhere here as well. It's not a spike per se. I think there's one going further back here. Yes, 1990s. So, yeah, not good getting above that. Targets-wise, should we be looking at targets? I guess we could. Because there is, again, that's the blue, by the way. We'll do that. This is that system there. Again, we could see 120. 120. If things are getting really bad here. We had the triangle high over here. Overshooting happens a lot. So hopefully that is the high here at roughly 102. But in these moments where you are getting, you know, the blast off, basically the blow off, in this case, same as here, it can go on for quite a while until it gets too stretched and the people start to recognize that prices has dropped too much and that money is definitely going to come back into the system. Printing of money is going to come back into the system. Did we close the gap here? That's actually quite funny. I didn't see that at all. Again, not in hindsight, but if that is the high here, again, overshooting for sure, but that is quite interesting. We will leave it as it is. So, rough day, rough 2 days for sure. Have a good day, guys. Hopefully, we have seen it all. But you never know. You never know. We've had a Black Friday. We could have a Black Monday straight back to back easily. So, cheers, guys. Have a great day. Bye.